I'm here with Dr. Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President, someone I watch quite a bit in his previous role as contributor to Fox News, and now he's in the inner circle of the President. Dr. Gorka, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us. This is certainly our biggest get for this CPAC convention. So how you doing, sir?
Hey, isn't everybody doing amazingly after that speech? I mean, the President was on form, and I think the room was electrified by that speech. So it recharged my batteries, I can tell you that.
Okay, so give our listeners an idea of what it is your role is with the President as a Deputy Assistant, Deputy Advisor.
Right. So we have, outside of the National Security Council, we have something called the Strategic Initiatives Group that deals with the long-range, very outwardly looking issues that are of the greatest concern to the President, whether it's Veterans Affairs, whether it's cybersecurity, and we help him bring people from the outside for what we call listening sessions, meetings in the White House, bring business leaders in, and help to get some traction on those big issues that need, the presidential push to help solve them.
Beautiful. Now, this first 30 days of the rollout, as every administration, there's been some issues, as you would expect. There's this contention with the media that's been going on. Now, you're in the National Security Council. You're close to that situation, and there's been much talk about Steve Bannon's role. What are some of the myths and misinformation that you believe? And I know we don't have much time, but just give us a couple of nuggets of what do you think the biggest misconceptions are about Steve Bannon and his role in the National Security Council?
I'll talk to you about just how bad it is in general. So, I've been a bit of a public figure before I came, but now I'm, in the White House. And I tell you, I come to work every morning at 7 o'clock. I open the newspapers, New York Times, Washington Post, and I tell you, I didn't realize how bad it is. When somebody says fake news, it's real, because I'm reading an article 8 out of 10 times about an issue where I was in the room the day before when that decision was being made, and the article has no resemblance to what happened in the White House the day before. There's these unnamed sources, and they're just making stuff up. So, the stuff you read, you saw Steve's speech yesterday with Reince Priebus. Yes. Didn't they look like, buddies who went to high school together, yes. Right? That's the reality. These are people who are at the center helping the president do what he promised he would do, and then you have these things about the infighting and blah, blah, blah. It's fake news.
Now, one thing that I want to see the tax plan rolled out. I want to see Paul Ryan and the administration sit down and actually get a decent tax plan out over the next, couple of months, hopefully. I've heard Grover Norquist talk about it, and he thinks it's going to get done. As far as what you can tell us, what are the prognosis for that?
I think if you look at what we've done already, if you look at TTP, if you look at the initiatives to unshackle, for example, the coal mining industry, I know it's shocking for a lot of people, but we have a president who's actually keeping his promises. Okay,
Imagine that.
It's weird, but so what has he said about taxes? He's going to unburden America, and he's going to simplify the tax code. It's outrageous that even the most simple tax filing, you have to call in a specialist. Why is that? So the simplification, you can take his commitments in the campaign about how he's going to reform the tax code. You can take that to the bank.
All right, sir, this is Darvio. Thank you once again for joining us on the show. One of the questions that I have is I know that I've heard that there are some initiatives being worked on with the Trump administration dealing with the inner cities, dealing with HBCUs and things like that. And a lot of people that I've talked to are having the question of, well, what exactly is it? What exactly are the plans? And when are those things going to come to fruition? So can you just give us a little bit of light on what his plans are for the inner cities and things like that? And when can we see some movement on that?
Right. I think, when it comes to concrete things, I'm not part of those discussions, but knowing President Trump and his commitments that he's made already, I'll talk about the big picture. And the big picture is a very simple one. What did he say about the inner cities during the campaign? He said that the leadership has let you down. You look at Chicago, you look at Baltimore, you look at Detroit, and what do we see there? We see this over the last 30, 40 years, this culture of dependency grow and grow and grow. And who benefited? Nobody benefited. Maybe the politicians benefited by staying in power with all their empty promises. So I think whatever specific initiative it's going to be about breaking down that cultural dependency on the state and say, look, the American way is not to rely on Big Brother. The American way is to make it that you can be successful yourself. So whatever it's going to be specific. Chicago's going to be different from Detroit. Detroit's going to be different from somewhere in California. So it's going to be about rebuilding that sense of individual ruggedness in those communities that are in the city, so they can be just as successful as everybody else.
All right, and we're from Cleveland, so obviously that's something that's very important to us as well. And I know you have a very busy schedule, so we're going to let you go. But the last question that I want to close on, which is pretty similar, still kind of in the same vein of this topic. President Trump, probably up until 2008, 2009ish, had traditionally had a pretty decent relationship with the African American community. Now things have happened that are frayed that. What can be done from the administration perspective to kind of rebridge that gap and kind of fix that?
That's a great question. I'd actually throw it back at you, because if you want to have a good relationship, who does it depend upon? Does it depend upon one side? It depends upon both sides. And when it comes to our philosophy, I think it's very simple. We've had enough of looking at America in categories and baskets, right? The last 8 years where you're a woman, you're a man, you've got black skin, you've got white skin, you're a Hispanic, you're non-Hispanic. How does that make us work together better as Americans? I don't think it does, and I don't think the president agrees. I don't care what your skin color is. I don't care what your income level is. You're as much as an American as I am. And I truly believe that's what the president believes. And what I hope is the other side of that relationship believes it too. Remember, this man is not a politician. Yeah? He didn't serve anywhere in office, and he loves this country. And I think he wants to be the president for all Americans, wherever you live.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the program. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Gorka, for taking the time with us. This is a treat for us. Thank you.
Anytime.